I've been teaching economics for so many years, and one of the most elementary lessons is, if supply increases, prices will decline. India is growing at 8% per year, so supply is increasing very fast. Then how is inflation increasing by 16%? We'll have to write a new Indian economics that if supply increases, prices will fall everywhere except in India. So inflation today is because of that. What about these property values? Look at what's happening in Bombay. Can you afford, can you even get a decent flat for 25 lakh rupees today? Look at the prices of all the plots which have been shooting up. This is also because money that used is largely cash in the construction industry. Then, with some of that money, what you do, build magnificent houses, you put air conditioner in every room, including in the bathroom, and you put yourself with all the luxury goods you can get. So what happens is the rate of profit of luxury goods starts going up. And so investor says, why should I produce cloth and other common man's goods when I'll only get 5-7% on the rate of return? Let me invest it in luxury goods and I'll get 25%. So your investment priorities are completely lopsided today in India. 70% of our investment today, directly or indirectly, is going to support luxury goods industry. And the common man is suffering. You're supposed to have a large number of poor people, but they're not able to get it. And where the money should go, it doesn't go. For example, today we are the cheapest agricultural country in the world, cheapest cost, lowest cost agricultural producers in the world. We produce per acre much less than Japan and South Africa. We have 12 months of the year we can do agriculture, unlike United States, which has snow for 5 months, and so only 7 months of the year they can do agriculture. So in Europe, so in China. But India is gifted, 12 months of the year you can do agriculture. But yet only less than 25% of the land grows more than one crop, because the investment in agriculture is going down. That's not where the profits are to be made. Profits are to be made in property, profits are made to be in producing luxury goods. So your investment where it should go doesn't go. Our cows, for example, their milk is the cheapest in the world. Europe sells milk at 15 times the price of the cow in India. How many cows we have? We have 150 million cows. And the average cow today is producing only, the cow is producing on the average only 200 liters per year. An Israeli cow produces 11,000 liters per year, just by better nutrition, better care and so on. And if our 150 million cows produce 11,000 liters per year, I will have to come to this conference or this meeting swimming in milk all the way from Delhi. That much milk you will have. And you can export it to Europe. Indian agriculture is the only sector which is the leading potential sector for participating in globalization. But we don't have our focus on that. Many people are surprised when I oppose Walmart's coming to India. They say, I'm surprised you, who's so pro-market, has opposed it. I said, yes, market should have level playing field. It should be fair in competition. Not free competition, but fair competition. How is it not a fair competition? In China, they have got Walmart, and why not in India? I said, because China during communist rule destroyed the trading class completely. And therefore they had to import the trading class through this method. All this FDI was a method by which they were able to provide marketing services and so on. India has always had a flourishing trading class. And this trading class is in micro levels. And therefore, can they compete with Walmart? How can they compete with Walmart? Walmart will bring capital at 2%, 3% interest rate. Our people will not get capital at less than 12%. But Walmart will participate in our labor force, which is cheapest in the world. I am ready to allow Walmart to come to India, provided the United States allows our labor to be taken on a contract basis for construction projects in United States. Will they allow you? They will say, no, it's an immigration problem, we cannot allow. Even on outsourcing, they are getting so agitated. So it's an unequal thing that people coming from abroad, they say that that they want free flow of capital. What about free flow of labor? That is not acceptable. That's an immigration problem. So we have to have our eyes open. Somebody told me the other day, oh, this license cancelling will have a bad effect on foreign investment. I said, do you know that why foreign investors come to India? They come to India because they can make a profit. And in China, they kick them every day, but still they go because they can make a profit there. Here, no matter how much namaste you do to them, they will not come unless they can make a profit. How much, though you can do Shastangam Dandavat, even then they will not come. It's only for profit they are coming, and they have to come to our country on our terms. We cannot have them come on any other terms. And that's the practice in the United States also. Why do you think our companies like Infosys and all have an easy time in those countries? So let us be very clear. This money is weakening our resolve in that field to protect our national interests. This money is now going abroad and deposited in foreign bank accounts. How? Through the Hawala route. Hawala route is via Dubai. And I can tell you from personal knowledge that every Hawala transaction is documented and put on the files, in the computer files of ISI. ISI knows exactly which minister has how much account in which bank in a foreign country of Europe. Now that's a dangerous thing, because everybody wants to appear to be honest. So if tomorrow Pakistan tells the minister, you are making hard anti-Pakistan statements, we'll bring out with your bank account, I think they may maybe get frightened. I sometimes wonder, why are we so hesitating on hanging Afzal Guru? The Supreme Court said hang him. Kasab, they say, the court has said hang him. But we going on thinking whether we should do it. It's not only because, the demand is not only because these are Muslim terrorists. What about LTT? They killed Rajiv Gandhi, but they have still not been hanged. The Supreme Court, not once but twice, in the review petition also said they should be hanged in 1999, and today is 2012. So just because of blackmail, you are afraid. We have today the weakest government, not only because of Manmohan Singh, but every minister, I can tell you, is a blackmailable quantity today. This is the saddest part of our history, and this is because of corruption. This is the implication of corruption. Everybody wants to find fault with Manmohan Singh, and people ask me, why are you soft on him? Well, there's no question of being soft on him. Of course, I know him. But if he goes, who will come? Someone better? I don't see it. If the whole UPA is to be sent, I as an opposition member would welcome it. But why target Manmohan Singh? He has not made money in 2G at all, I can tell you. He kept on watching while this was going on. Bhishmacharya also watched Draupadi being stripped. So we cannot, just because you're watching, that's a civil wrong. It's called malfeasance in power. But it's not a criminal act. There's not even a whiff of criminality in that. And but he is so weak. Well, he was chosen because he was weak. But the Prime Minister's chair has so much power, why can't he use that power? He said, have you ever been to a circus? In a circus, there will be in one cage 5 lions. We call in Hindi lions a sing. 5 lions like Manmohan Singh, you see. And the ringmaster will come and close the gate of that cage, and then he'll crack a whip and say, get up on that bench. And these lions will climb up. Each lion is strong enough that if it uses his paw on that ringmaster, he will be dead. But they obey him because the mind has been prepared that way. Let me tell you, strength is not important. What is important is your mindset. If you have a circus lion mindset, you will obey the orders. And that's what has happened with Manmohan Singh, poor man. Not all numbers matter, you see. You have 1,000 goats standing at one place and one tiger comes. Goats have the majority, but they will all run away. That is why I am saying that today our mindset is being managed by this corrupt money. Media, television, all these things are being now used. Money power is using it to prepare your mind. That's another major minus effect for our society, a major implication. Your stock market here is now almost become a rigged market. Why? Because the money goes abroad and then the cash in dollars you take to Morgan Stanley or Fidelity Insurance, Fidelity Investments or Goldman Sachs, and you put it on the counter and say, here's my Indian passport, give me a participatory note. And that participatory note has nothing on it, no serial number, nothing, except the amount you have placed on the counter. You take that participatory note, come to India, make a photostat copy, give to Reserve Bank. Reserve Bank will give you a chit that you can invest it in the stock market. And you go and invest in stock market. And the stock market booms up. You sell it at the top. And with the rupees that you get as capital gains, you take it to the Reserve Bank and say, I did it through the participatory note. So please convert this entire thing into dollars. It is converted to dollars. You take it abroad. So the black money goes abroad and comes back to India, earns money and goes out again. This was necessary because I was told that one day Sonia Gandhi complained to Chidambaram when he was finance minister. What is this? These Swiss bank people, they instead of giving us interest on our accounts, they are claiming service charges of 2%. So we must find some way. And Chidambaram, being the loyal minister that he was, he came up with this participatory note. Damodaran opposed it, so he lost his job. They brought somebody else. People say sometimes, why are you so much after Sonia Gandhi? She wants to be a Bahu in our country. She even wears a sari, puts on a tika. She's trying to be one of us. So I said, I'm not fooled. When Ramayana, in Ramayana, when Ravan came to abduct Sita, and he felt that she won't cross the Lakshman Rekha. So what did he do? He put on the clothes of a sannyasi. He came in Bhagwa. And out of regard for the Bhagwa, Sita crossed the Lakshman Rekha. So I'm not going to be fooled by the clothes people wear. It's not an important thing. I'm willing to debate with any congressman. All these facts that I have know about her say. And some of them she has herself admitted. She claimed in the election returns, election nomination forms, an affidavit that she had got a degree in English from the University of Cambridge. I went to University of Cambridge for a lecture and found out that there was no such student. So I asked them to give it to me in writing. So they gave it to me in writing. I gave it to the speaker, Manoj Joshi, who then sent it to her, asking for comments, and she writes back to say it was a typing mistake. So I told Manoj Joshi, typing mistake means comma, full stop, and spelling. But a whole sentence. So he said, what shall we do? I said, send it to the Guinness Book of World Record for the longest typing. There's no question of my being against a foreigner or anything like that. It's a question that is my job as an opposition to point faults. If I found somebody in the opposition, in the ruling party as good, I will not oppose him. I've been defending Manmohan Singh even when my friends have been criticizing me. When Rajiv Gandhi was there, I was his closest friend. He and I together created the Chandrasekhar government. Narasimha Rao made me a minister, and in fact he used to listen to me. First day he took over Prime Minister, he called me up and said, Swamy, you have prepared some blueprints, give it to me. So I said, will you implement it? He said, yeah, I will. And he did. The credit, in fact, doesn't go to me because I use my brains to produce a blueprint. It doesn't go to Manmohan Singh because he implemented it. The credit goes to Narasimha Rao for having guts to do it. And we produce such a high rate of growth. Where are the communists today? They kept telling me, I remember Nambudripad used to say that in the Soviet Union there is no inflation, there is no unemployment, there is no poverty. In August 1991, I told Nambudripad, now there is no Soviet Union also. We had only 3%, 3.5% rate of growth at that time, which Devashish just now said is the Hindu rate of growth. How is it a Hindu rate of growth? It's a Soviet rate of growth. Putting the blame on the Hindus is wrong. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that we produced double the rate of growth within 3-4 years that we are having, 3.5% to 7%, and now it went right up to 9%. And if we do not have corruption in India, I'm telling you, our growth rate will not be less than 14% per year for the next 14 years. Because then you have vast amount of resources. And the decision making will be on merit. And if it is on merit, then you will get the best possible use of your resources. It will not be an inefficient or inoptimal use of resources. So now, question is, what do we do? How do we clean up the Indian society? First, let me make a few brief comments and then get into these various methods that are today available in our country. Let me say that if we use our technology properly, then corruption can be controlled. Take, for example, 1970s, railway reservations was the most corrupt thing that could happen, most harassing thing. You had to bribe the station master, the ticket collector, the man at the counter. Now, because of computerization, for which we have to give credit to Rajiv Gandhi, this computerization has completely reduced that corruption, completely reduced it. So by technology you can do it. Now you can download forms in villages and all. People are very happy because now I find even villages people are having laptops and printers. They can get all their land records, information, everything by printout. So technology is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is to ensure that people who get caught are given. You may have a low probability of getting caught, but you once caught, you then give them the maximum punishment. And that would mean that a person would be any person will be personally hesitant to do corruption because you say, well, the bribe I can get, but the implications or the consequences are so heavy, I don't want to do corruption. In America it happens, it doesn't happen here. In America on January 8, 2008, there was a press conference in New York addressed by a man called Bernard Madoff. And he said, I confess that I have stolen pension funds and I am ready to meet any punishment. On the same day in Hyderabad, Ramalinga Raju of Satyam was addressing a press conference saying, I've defalcated my my company accounts and made a lot of money and I'm ready to face any punishment. More or less the same message, same confession. In 6 months, Madoff was convicted for 150 years and now is in jail. And Satyam Ramalinga Raju, he is in bail in air-conditioned comfort. Martha Stewart in the United States only phoned up, only one thing she did. She phoned up her stockbroker and said that she had heard in a cocktail party that such and such company is going to sell. So get rid of his shares. On that, they sent her to jail for 6 months. She was the most celebrated TV personality in terms of home cooking and things like that. But they didn't spare her. They put her in convict's clothes and sent her to jail. And asked the Americans, why are you so harsh on this woman? They said, if you get caught, then that's it. That means if you have a low probability but high consequence, then on the average, it's a disincentive to be corrupt. So we have to have that. Why I'm going after this 2G in such a way and at the big names is because that is the only way to create a climate that everyone personally feels, baap re baap, kya ho jayega hum logon ka. You know, that atmosphere. Other thing we need is that all of you should have a positive attitude. We are very negative people. नहीं कुछ नहीं होगा, कोई नहीं पकड़ा जाएगा, सब छूट जाएंगे. Every judge will be purchasable. I don't think that is correct also. But you have to have a positive attitude. Yes, we need to do it and we will do it. And some things will happen because of that. This is the art of positive thinking. This negativeness must go. Of course, the best thing that can have is if you don't need many crusaders. Even in a cabinet of 40 members, if you have just 4 honest people and gutsy people, not honest like Manmohan Singh, but with a spine in your back. So if you have gutsy people who are also honest, I can tell you in just 4 people, that is 10% of the cabinet, can produce you a complete transformation. Because the machinery is so large that you can do wonderful things. I am doing today alone. Every day people ask me, usko bhi pakdo, you know. See, I don't have the machinery. Even to get the documents, I have to make so much effort and use all my resources in terms of personal contacts and network and so on. So if you're in government and there are honest people there, and not all, only 10% of your ministers are honest, and your Prime Minister especially has to be honest, then I can tell you that corruption in this country will go very fast. Because the tradition of this country is simplicity. Tradition of country is sacrifice. And therefore, that leadership has to come. It can only come through an election. It can come in big cities. You did it. I mean, the Indian people have done it when it all entered their brain that it has to be done. For example, 1977, I stood from Bombay. I was elected twice to Lok Sabha from Bombay, from the North East Bombay. I didn't have a penny in my pocket when I contested this 77 election. People gave me the money, people gave me the votes. Same thing the next election also, the following election. I won without spending any money. So money is not a factor where the people are aroused. Unfortunately, the people have been betrayed so many times that they become cynical. But please, no matter how many times you're betrayed, never become cynical. Be positive, say, okay, next time we will do it, and it can be done. In fact, when I started this 2G prosecution, people say, "Kuch nahi hone wala, this is too big an amount. Nothing will happen. No minister will ever go to jail." Ministers started going to jail. First went Raja, then Kanimori. Now Maran's turn is any day. Chidambaram just missed, but it won't be very long. But the superintendent of Tihar jail told my friend, "Please tell Swamy, bada dikkat paida kar raha hai." So I said, "Why?" He says, "He's only sending Madrasis to jail." I said, "What's wrong with that?" He said, "Because the Bawarchi says they all demand masala dosa and idli and I can't do it." I said, "Okay, wait till an Italian comes and asks for a pizza." there are three major movements for fighting corruption. One is led by Anna Hazare. The other is by Baba Ramdev. And the third, some of us, about 15 of us, people who have held high positions, people who have been members of the directors in the United Nations, people who have been director of the IB, people who have been great chartered accountants, that kind of thing, 15 people were assembled. And they said, we said that Anna is working for a new law. Baba Ramdev is mobilizing the rural masses. And we need at least another team which will use the present laws and till the new law comes, get action so that people can have confidence that something is happening. And that committee is called Action Committee Against Corruption in India. And yesterday, in the evening, all three forces, in my opinion, should work together, but we haven't yet been able to persuade Anna Hazare's people that that is necessary. But Ramdev and myself yesterday addressed a joint meeting in the evening, one of the largest meetings ever. So the movements are there and will take place. We know how to get action. For instance, this judgment the Singhvi and Ganguly have given to me on the sanction for prosecution. Originally, I had asked for sanction to prosecute Raja. I sent a letter to the PM, and the PM didn't reply to my letter. I sent 5 letters, he didn't reply to any one of them. That was a bit surprised because I know him so well. He replies to every other letter of mine. So why didn't he reply? Finally, I said, instead of embarrassing him and asking him, I'll go to the High Court. And I went to the High Court dismissed my petition. Then I went to the Supreme Court, and it came before these 2 great judges. And they have laid down a new law that, number 1, sanction, if you apply, it should be not more than 4 months, 3 months plus 1 month if you want to, if the sanctioning authority wants to consult the Attorney General. And after 4 months, if you do not give sanction or deny sanction, then it shall be assumed that you have given the sanction. They have said that this requires a parliamentary amendment, but it's a Supreme Court observation, so it's already in a sense de facto law. They also said one thing which was very, very, very extraordinary, which the media didn't cover adequately. And that is that earlier on, if I went to, say, the CBI or to the police and said, here is my information about a commission of an offense of corruption, please investigate. And if the person is a public official, the police will say, where is the sanction? And you will not get be able to pursue. Now, the court, through Justice Ganguly's observations, has now laid down very clearly that as far as asking for investigation is concerned by any citizen, you don't need sanction. You can get an investigation done by any police, any CBI, any enforcement directorate just by giving a petition. So if you find any officers here, and it's a local offense which the Bombay police has to investigate, you can now give it and quote this judgment and say, no, now I don't need sanction for investigation. So this is another major development that has taken place with the pursuing of under the existing laws, the laws getting amended by the Supreme Court. So here is another example of what an average citizen can do. He documents it, goes to the agency and gives it. If they don't give it, then you can always go to the High Court and say, they are not doing duty. Like I went to the Supreme Court and said, the Prime Minister is not replying to my letters. And for the first time in the history of in my opinion, the history of the world. Perhaps Pakistan is number 2, but we are number 1, where the Supreme Court has issued notice to the Prime Minister of India to explain why he didn't reply to a letter written by him. Kapil Sibal was saying, who is Swamy? He is just an ordinary citizen. How can he write to the Prime Minister? Now after this order of the Supreme Court, he is keeping quiet on that. He is talking about other things now. He is talking more about BJP. He doesn't talk about me. Because if he talks about me, I'll give it back to him. So I think, these are all developing things. These movements need to be supported. Anna Hazare has got a long tradition. After all, I've represented Bombay for 2 parliament terms. I know how on local issues he fought, laid down his life. I mean, at the risk of his life, he has done it. Baba Ramdev is got a tremendous following, particularly in the poorer and backward classes. And if all of us combine, it will be a major thing. And for that, for that, of course, it will mean that the Anna team has to get rid of his aversion to politicians. You see, you can't do without politics in India. You need party politics because that's part of democracy. We need to clean up the parties also, and you need to elect good candidates. What you can do in an election, for example, to minimize corruption, is you look at the candidates. Which of them is the best? Don't say that I am none of the above. That's an escapism. Least worst, if not the best. And tell that candidate whether he's going to win or lose. Don't worry. Don't bother about that. You tell him, don't come to my area. I will mobilize the votes in my area. And you go somewhere else. Because one of the biggest headaches is, I've been elected 5 times to Parliament, and I find the biggest headache each time is that at that time everybody wants you in their area, and it's too big an area to go in a 15-day election period. And in the end, what happens is that you start spending money, sending volunteers, and so on and so forth. Therefore, to minimize expenditure, each of you in your area, select a candidate who you think is the best and should represent you. And then tell that person, don't come to our area. We will mobilize for you, and we will ensure that the voter goes to the booth on the day of voting. This is another thing that you can do. Big things can come by accident. Big issues of catching some minister and putting him in jail and all these things can come at any time without your expectation. I never thought that I would get so deeply into the fight of corruption. It just came. It was just a simple thing. I was sitting at home reading. 2 officers came at 9 p.m. and knocked on the door. And when I opened it, I recognized one of them. I said, hey, what are you doing here? He said, I have to talk to you. So I said, come on in. I brought him in. And then he said that he was somebody in the telecom ministry. And what happened that day, which I didn't know, was terrible. He said, what had happened? He said, Raja had issued a press release saying that all applicants, first he said everybody should apply. Then he sent out word that after 1st October 2007, he will not consider any application. And then after that was over, on the 10th of January, he issues a notice saying that, even up to October 1, 2007, too many applications come. So I am arbitrarily putting it at the first cutoff on 25th September 2007. After everything has closed, that was totally illegal. Of course, the courts have struck it down. And then he says that of those who applied before 25th September, those who can come between 3:30 and 4:30 with a demand draft of 1650 crores, not 1650 rupees, but 1650 crore rupees, they will be given the letter of intent. Now, when does he issue that second press release? At 2:45 p.m. Says 3:30 to 4:30 you come. And he doesn't put it out in any TV or radio or anything. He puts it out in the ministry website. And Swan Telecom and Unitech have already got 1650 crores demand draft in their pocket, and they are sitting in the minister's office. So they had no problem. Similarly, others also. So that kind of thing they had seen, and so there was a rush there, of all those 575 applications there were at that time of October 1. And all those people rushing, they brought gundas and hit them, threw them out, and all kinds of melee took place. So the officers were shaken. They came and told me that this has happened. And so there are people today in every sphere you find who are willing to stand up if they can find somebody else ready to take up their cause. So I would say, don't be pessimistic under any circumstance. This society, according to me, the great days of India are near. We will become a world power and a world economic power. But all this churning is necessary before we achieve that goal. But the most important thing that we can do is have a positive attitude. Yes, we will make India a great country which will stand on its own feet. That's the commitment we make. So I would urge you in the end, and I found that this response against corruption is so widespread that it's shaking everybody. Everybody is now talking about fighting corruption. Even the corruptor saying that I will fight corruption. That's the climate change. And therefore, I urge you all to take a pledge that we will resist corruption. You don't have to come and stick your neck out. I mean, tomorrow, make sure that you are doing it in such a way that somebody can't single you out. But at least in your mind, it should be there, and in your personal conversations, you should be able to infuse this spirit. Yes, fighting corruption is our number one problem. Thank you very much.